Peace be upon you. In today's world, there is this big debate of atheism versus religion, and people are questioning God's existence. People are asking questions like what is the purpose of creation, why they should follow God's law, why God created evil, what is the right religion, is life of hereafter real, etc. I would like to offer some perspective on these questions in this series of videos, Why Believe in God. First of all, what does believing in God mean? Believing in God does not mean believing only in the existence of God. That is just the start. Believing in God has many levels. It also means believing in the power, knowledge, and sovereignty of God, to believe in the righteousness and justice of God. It also means to believe in our relationship with God and to believe in the promise of God. It has many other levels of which I might touch upon some. I will start with God's existence because if God does not exist, then there is no point in any of this. To understand God's existence, we have to go back to the question of what existence really is. Without going too much into philosophy and formal definitions, there are certain things that we can know about existence. For example, there is my existence. I think, therefore I am. And then there is the existence itself, and I will call it absolute existence. What is the relationship between my existence and the absolute existence? My existence is limited to this lump of mass which we call body. That is to say, I do not exist outside of this body. The absolute existence is not limited by any means. We don't know how many trillions of planets, stars, galaxies, and even parallel universes, billions of light years across it holds. Everything is limited by it, but it is not limited by anything. There are factors external to my existence which affect my existence. For example, there is this external material that we call food. I have to intake that in my body to maintain my existence. If I don't take it inside my body, my existence is affected negatively and I experience anxiety and suffering, which we call hunger. Likewise, I need to breathe external air. There are certain other external factors which can cause me harm, such as bacteria and viruses making me sick, etc., or a guy with a gun trying to kill me, or an accident happening to me. In contrast, the absolute existence is not affected by anything external. It does not need food or an air to live. It does not get sick. Nothing can cause it harm, even the stars exploding or universes collapsing or supermassive black holes. In fact, there is nothing external to it. I get tired and I need to sleep. The absolute existence never gets tired and it never sleeps and it never stops. I need to keep moving from one place to another place at different points in time. Absolute existence is everywhere all the times, and it does not need to move. I was born out of my mother at one point of time, and I will die at another point of time. And I need to breed children to continue my legacy. The absolute existence was never born and it has no father, no mother, and it needs no children. It was always there and it will be always there. It is self subsistent and it lives on its own. Not too long ago, I did not exist. Then I appeared from the absolute existence. After a while, I will disappear back into it. Isn't it like a wave that appears from an ocean and then disappears back into it? I know that I do not exist on my own. Myself and everything that I need to continue existing comes from the absolute existence. So my existence is dependent or contingent existence, whereas absolute existence is totally independent. It exists and lives on its own, and it is infinitely greater than my existence in every regard. So, what is the relationship between my existence and absolute existence? My existence is a subset, and the absolute existence is the superset. When I look at my body, all the materials, all atoms, molecules, everything came from the absolute existence. There is nothing in my body that came from outside of it, right? Or did it? The same way, when I look at myself, I find myself conscious. And since a superset has everything that a subset has and more, I have to conclude that the absolute existence itself is conscious. My superset is greater than me beyond my imagination. So for me to say that I'm conscious, but the existence that I'm dependent upon and every atom and molecule is dependent upon is dead would not make any sense. So if a subset says it has something that the superset does not have, then it's not a true subset. In my case, I know for a fact that my existence is a subset of the absolute existence. Every conscious or unconscious being, whether it is an insect, animal, bird, human, etc., appear from it and then they will disappear back into it. The absolute existence had all these expressions of consciousness before I existed, and it will have them after me, and I myself is just one of those expressions of consciousness. This only means one thing: the absolute existence is alive and conscious, and that is the existence of God. So, absolute existence is God's existence. We all exist through God's existence, and we are conscious through God's consciousness. So, God's existence is the absolute, and everything else is contingent and dependent. One would think, why is it that there is existence versus non existence? It seems so counterintuitive that something would exist rather than nothing existing at all. But we know that existence wins versus non existence because we ourselves exist and we see existence around us. The same way, consciousness also wins versus non consciousness, and we should be able to understand it from our own consciousness and consciousness around us, and how we are all connected. It may sound counterintuitive and exotic, but the existence is conscious, and that is the higher consciousness that we are all connected through. I have explained in more detail about how we are connected through the higher consciousness in another video on YouTube called Definitive Proof of God's Existence, Consciousness Connecting Cosmic Dots. Please refer to it for more detail. But the point is that the contingent existence that we experience, which is our own existence and the existence of the universe we live in, is a function of God's existence and consciousness. So all this should leave us no doubt about God's existence. So then what about the argument that there is no scientific evidence of God's existence? I will explain the problem with that argument and why the scientific argument is completely irrelevant when it comes to believe in God in my next video, God willing. Till then, goodbye.